Good morning, Earth Tribe. Welcome. Welcome to my YouTube channel and my Facebook Live series on Rick Boyardi, World Builder, Warrior Academy. Welcome to another post-workout morning message to humanity. Again, the purpose of these messages, and who do we got here? Charlie Mead from Framingham, originally anyway. Good morning, nice to see you. The purpose of these messages are to is to offer a platform for individual personal development and ultimately leading to global transformation. So my messages tend to revolve around a wide range. All the while I'm talking about a specific message, but I'm touching on it and how it manifests in all areas of life. The reason I do that is because this channel is also dedicated to global transformation, and Robert Nazinski, is that how you say it? Nalazinski. Good morning. Thank you for watching. I get some feedback on my comments on my YouTube channel. Some people who are also YouTubers, they'll say focus more on just the specific topic, or maybe just offer it in the title, like 3 ways to improve your ab workouts, or 5 ways to improve your nutrition program. And sometimes I do that, but inherently my channel, yes, it's about personal development, but without the big picture, I don't think many of the things people do to develop are sustainable because they don't know where it fits into the big picture. So people often lose motivation after time. And I think that with the big picture, you always know how what you're doing fits into your own program, and plus where it can manifest itself in a better world. And why do I do it that way? Because I'm motivated to, because I'm called to it, because these topics have been on my mind since I was a toddler. And, much of it has to do with my own specific life circumstances, but then, and that's not a complaint. What it is that I believe people incarnate into the world in a certain set of circumstances in order to express a gift or to train in an area and then express a gift. So maybe somebody who, say like John Lennon, excuse me for a second, who do we have here? Mike Scannell, good morning, peace. So take John Lennon, right? Here's a guy who, if you know his history, did not feel at place at all, and he saw things that he felt were universal truths, but the system that he was in at that time in 1950s in England was very different. It wasn't a good match, and that pain brought out in him, first as a writer of like a school newspaper and short articles, and then because of Elvis, he was hooked by music, and then combined the two, and the world was ready for something like that. Other people that influenced him, like say Bob Dylan, who instead of just writing songs about standard teenage topics of love and social situations, affairs of the heart. He started getting into deeper topics, which he was one of the first with his bandmates to do that. And of course, you know the rest. And that's just one example. So the topic of my message today, I think, was tribal earth. We are a tribe, or should be. And what I mean by that is that we're social creatures, and we function better together. We don't function at all divided. And when I look at today's world, it's filled with division, and it's filled with division on purpose because, and again, I'm not going to go super deep into many of these related topics. The divisions are created in order to create a response, in order to create a market, in order to create a business opportunity. And if you go back through time, especially since the manufacturing age, you'll see that typically things that promote cooperation and harmony and tribal use are suppressed. They're made fun of, they're attacked in the mainstream media, and they're completely overrun by the people who control things. Typical like inventions are bought up and then suppressed and hidden. Like 0-point energy, like things like Nikola Tesla came up with, or people that have invented water-based power and for motors, things like that. Those people mysteriously end up dead, or things that have been suppressed like hemp. And again, not a hippie here at all. I'm a world builder, but that particular product had so many commercial uses and so much value, but other industries, cotton and so forth, suppressed it and lobbied it out of use. Other things like, for instance, our food programs, for instance, natural fats and fats were derided for their negative cardiovascular properties. And over time, it's discovered that the sugar industry lobbied the shit out of things like the FDA, and the word gets out that certain things are bad for you, and then, oh hey, by the way, we have these products like breakfast products like Sugar Bombs, which is from Calvin and Hobbes, if you ever read that. Breakfast cereals, like sodas, and then increasing to 20-ounce sodas from 12-ounce laden with sugar. Again, I'm jumping around, but that's also what I do to put the topic in the bigger picture. And this topic is tribal life. And, most tribes, people were happy in a tribe because the way they operated together. You had ancient wisdom passed down verbally through generations. You had a support system in food, nutrition, how to live together, problem resolution, sustainable lifestyles that these tribes could live forever. And look, I'm not against technology and advancement of mankind, the use of resources and human capital to move to different levels of living, like okay, I'm going to move laterally here and say that this world we're in now, our tribal life is diminishing. And you go back, if you're my age, go back to our childhood, it was still there. You had your neighborhoods, you had a lot of children out doing things together, and parents looked out for everybody, really. If there was a lesson you needed to know, and your parents went around, and other parents would step in, and they had no problem saying, hey, guys, don't have rock fights out in the woods. Someone's going to get hurt. Just so many things. Are like, we were in this Evel Knievel phase as kids. We were building these wooden ramps and riding our bikes full speed off these ramps. Man, the potential for damage, long-term damage, was there. And we were wiping out on the asphalt and the concrete sidewalks. And, parents would step in for our own good. Of course, we didn't listen. We'd do it somewhere else. But there was a sense of tribal unity. And even in the world of marketing, including, our television and our cultural things, things like the Brady Bunch or Leave It to Beaver. And, I know a lot of this sounds corny. The message was very different. It was that there's a family, there's a neighborhood, there's a nation, there's a world. And in all of those generations, like my grandparents, after a time for my grandparents, my parents, myself, and my sons, and now my granddaughters. But up through my generation, there was a sense, at least in the U.S., that each generation was going to offer more opportunity. And yes, there were books and movies that cautioned us about a dark future. Gary Butkus, peace, good morning, Framingham. Going back to the 80s, things started to change. In the 90s, it really changed. So how do we get that back? Well, first it's by recognizing it, by listening to messages like this. Jose Antonio Bernstein Gomez. Long name, good morning. Thanks for watching. So how do we get that back? It's first by awareness. I do a lot of traveling and I meet a lot of individuals, different cultures, completely different backgrounds, different histories. And I will say that almost everybody's the same. They all want it. They're looking for a connection. Everybody knows that what's driving the world now is not about connection. And again, I'm not going to go too deep in these topics on this video because I do in others. But global control, global plutocracy, predatory capitalism, global banking system. They're about global control and to keep us focused on utilizing their system to give them power, and that's done through debt service, and I'm talking the whole world, really. So people are busy paying debt and paying taxes. And again, if you don't believe that, try not doing it. See what happens. And a lot of these programs, like just take the United States, a typical mortgage of 30 years. And yes, if you have the right mortgage, you can pay it off sooner. Typically, people aren't taught how not to be in that system or how to utilize it to their benefit. The marketing is typically to catch you, enslave you, and leave you stuck in it, and you better make it work or else. Okay, so again, I'm not talking about throwing away what we have, because there's a lot of good. What I am talking about on a tribal basis is that recognizing we're a tribe, and you start to reach out. And I know so many people, they hear my words and they think the 1960s, and they think hippies and how that lifestyle failed completely. And I'm going to go back for a second there and say that the people there woke up to something. They were correct, actually. Because there was a lot of wealth in the West and parts of the East, people had more free time. Remember, only one parent worked, one stayed home. There were two parents. You could have a high school education and support your family, send your kids to college. Very different times. So there was a lot of time for free thought. There was a lot of time to rest and reflect. Having been through the world, been through the Great Depression, 2 world wars, a Cold War, and the Korean conflict, and the nuclear war, which is World War II. So, and nuclear threat. So a lot of people were talking. There was time. There was affluence. There was affluence down through 70-80% of the world. It was a huge middle class. So people started seeing things like Vietnam. There was more global communication. So people started protesting Vietnam. That was a big catalyst. And then other things started to come to the surface, like property developments like Love Canal, or big pharma, like I forget what that drug was that the women were taking to make their pregnancies better. Late 50s, early 60s. It was deforming children. I just can't think of the name of that, but it's very obvious. So that's where the so-called hippie culture came, because they started seeing that there was a lot of truth suppressed, and there were ways to get there. But they also had this thing going where Janine Taylor, good morning, thanks for watching. Keep posting your videos. Your posts on Facebook, they're good, and your videos. I lost my train of thought, but the hippies, they also had, it's really not their fault, and it is their fault at the same time, mind-altering substances, and a lot of those were spread throughout that community by governments, and like the CIA and LSD. LSD was legal, and so people started getting effed up, and the people that were planted in these organizations to get control and divide them also brought in self-destructive opportunity for these people. So the message got corrupted, and then many of the counterculture of that era got bought and sold by capitalism. They became the biggest capitalists known to man, like someone like Steve Jobs. And again, it's a dual-edged sword, because a lot of these people came up with products and services that changed the world for the better, but they also were controlled in a global corporate environment. And for example, you'd always have to buy a new cell phone, built-in obsolescence, things like that. And again, I'm setting the big picture here, global transformation, but also personal development. And where does tribalism fit into personal development? Everywhere, because when you're part of a family and a tribe, there's a better chance that your gifts are going to come out. There's a better chance you're going to understand your place in the world, and you're going to feel comfortable and confident in speaking up. And how do you do that in this world? It's not easy. You got to be very careful, because if you really challenge the system, it can be lethal. But it doesn't mean it can't be done. So you start to develop products and services that have a different message, and you use capitalism for change. So it's everywhere, especially in social media. You see it all over. Products and services, they have to reach out to you through those means, because they're up against the big mainstream media advertising world. They don't have millions of dollars to advertise, but they also see that they can reach the globe through the internet. And things like better organic meals are offered by these companies. And again, they are businesses, so you got to read the fine print, because they'll F you too into signing up for stuff where they're just dipping into your bank account, taking money, and now you're chasing after something. So always do your homework. But again, I'll say this: the rise of the entrepreneur, the digital entrepreneur, that's also a two-edged sword, because a lot of it's sold. You listen to these entrepreneur commercials, and they're all alike. And I'm a master of watching them, because I am one to a degree, but I'm more of a world builder and a personal development coach. But these commercials will come on, and they'll often say things like, what if I told you that the answer to financial freedom is through this program? And they yell at you, right? And they all start that way. They're loud, they're in your face, and they take you through a 20, 30-minute infomercial, ultimately that leads to a link somewhere. They never tell you the actual process, and then you got to buy it. And in some cases, it's worth buying. I've done it because I learned something, and if I find that it's bullshit, I'll get out of it eventually. I see people all the time. I watched a guy this morning before I went to my workout, and I'll come back with this name. I can't think of it right now. Mike Enright, good morning. Mike Levezzo, is it? Good morning. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace. Where was I? So this guy was talking about ultimately veganism, but the guy was a living advertisement. I mean, he gets on there and he just stands there and he talks. And he doesn't have a shirt on and stuff, and he's like in his 50s. You look at this guy and he's like obscenely healthy, and he looks like a 20-year-old. He has gray hair, but physically he looks amazing, and he talks about intermittent fasting, some juicing, veganism, and I haven't gone that deep with him yet, because he provides a lot of links, which I'm going to look into, because I'm a nutrition coach, and he talks about a lot about that when you fill up on a lot of things, like a lot of protein through animal meats, you might feel full, but your body is working to having to break these down, and ultimately you're taking away from your inspiration and the ability to express your gifts, because your body's hard at work trying to break stuff down. And I'm not 100% selling that or coaching you in that right now. I'm in the midst of research. Because it takes me back to things I read 20 or more years ago. I'm putting that together so I can share it with you. But again, Tribal Earth. You all have gifts. You all have things that you've been drawn to your whole life. And the real world makes you do a lot of things that you need to do, like pay a 30-year mortgage, have that career that you have, either fallen into or planned for. Again, it keeps this system going. It keeps the debt paid. It keeps the game of musical chairs going until the pre-programmed financial collapses are instigated by people more powerful than us, and then the game of musical chairs stops. They swoop in, they purchase all of the assets at discounted prices, and the whole thing commences again. And who gets lost in the shuffle? Lots of people, except for them. They get bailed out through corporate socialism. Remember, it's only a negative socialism if it helps people who need help. Corporate socialism is not frowned upon by them because they've lobbied it and created the laws that we play by. And again, so I see it as stages. I see it that 7 billion of us are waking up. We are waking up. And we are all starting to do things like I'm doing this channel and I'm coaching people and other people. It can be the most simple thing that, say somebody, think of this guy who I'm friends with on Facebook. I don't really know him, but he just says, hey, I'll repair your vehicles on the side and I'll be honest about it. And people go to him, and you know, so people not everybody's into cars and things like that. This guy is, but it starts to offer an alternative to what we have now. People go on and they talk about certain things that move them, and other people see it and they start to realize, hey, I can go and get a global audience of something that moves me and provide opportunities. So what I feel is going to happen is this current end time battle, final battle, global battle is happening now. And the reason it's now is because we can be global. It didn't happen before because there wasn't the ability for globalism. Now there is through technology. So while the powers that be are staking their final run to global control and an enslaved population, the other side of that, the other side of the coin is everybody's waking up, like Neo in the Matrix. And so why do you think all of these things are so challenged right now? Churches, marriages, environment, banking, nutrition, health. You know, everybody's waking up to a lot of BS being marketed for 50 years. And now what do? And people are looking and they're finding bad messages, good messages. They're getting more confused as things are going faster and challenged faster and faster. And everybody feels like, are we going to make it? Are we going to get through this phase? And I'm here to say that the only opportunity we have to get through this phase is tribalism, is global tribalism. So when I go on these trips, these adventure trips, I talk to people everywhere. And now there's hundreds of connections. I'll go back to my Egypt example. I was talking to Islamic people, our supposed enemies. And they're just like you and me. You know what? They love their kids. They want opportunity. They believe in universal knowledge and truth. And why can't we express it in our daily lives? And, you know, why are certain countries bombing the shit out of us? And, you know, they look and they're afraid to speak the truth because their own governments, you know, you think you have it tough here, go over there and try to speak the truth and disappear, or your kids disappear. You know, like Saudi Arabia, for instance. But again, going back, it's this run to waking up. We're obligated to wake up our tribal members, we're obligated to do things to offer our gifts to the world. And many of you are busy. You got mortgages, you got kids, you got careers. Okay, do that. There's 168 hours a week. Spend a half hour a day improving yourself, learning things. Spend another half hour a day or 45 minutes on your nutrition program and your physical well-being, because you'll live longer. You'll have a better opportunity to express your talents. Spend a half hour a day sharing your talent, whether it's talking to friends, calling people up, talking to strangers that you meet everywhere. Don't be afraid. Look, talking to strangers, they're not going to kill you, okay? I mean, I did it in an Islamic nation where ISIS was walking around, and I saw them and they saw me. And I talked to people. They're not going to kill you. People who are afraid or they're alone, men and women, where they are think the other gender is so alien to their gender that they won't talk to people. I'm here to tell you, talk to them. Men, talk to women. Don't be intimidated. They don't kill you because you talk to them. They're not praying mantises where you mate with them and they bite your head off. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say the system's effed up. All systems are effed up, okay? Accept that. Carlos Ortiz, good morning. Thanks for watching. Women, not all men are creeps. Men are great. Don't listen to Gillette. That commercial's effed up. We are what we are. We are naturally more aggressive than women. We deal with that in our own world, in sports and things like that. Women are aggressive in a completely different way. Ask women how they are with each other. Again, I know I'm going into different topics here, but I mean to do that because we're talking about a global tribe. Men and women need to get back together. Religions, they're not your friend if they're organized, most of them. And again, that doesn't mean that I don't believe in creation. I do. There is a creative intelligence and soul and loving universal truth out there that creates worlds. Okay? It's just they've been corrupted. Go to look at the Vatican, pedophile college. So, look at health, water, fluoride put in our water. Our water can't even be clean through the best efforts of municipalities because of chemicals in the water and pharmaceuticals and bacterias. They do their best, but you gotta find filters. And don't drink bottled water if you can help it because of the way the plastic deteriorates with the ultraviolet light and puts hormones in the water that F you up. Food going back 100 years. The FDA recommended daily allowances were developed before they even had a scientific method. They came up with those just by looking at people and said, man, you look good. What do you eat? How much of it do you eat? Okay, that's a recommended daily allowance. You will never get your essential nutrients by following that. Okay, I didn't make that up. Tim Sales did. I study him. I'm in his 3X fitness program. So a lot of things I share with you are things tribal earth that I've learned from others. I'm constantly subscribing to different people in different areas on YouTube channels, and I'm constantly listening to them because I'm in my car a lot, and then I'm sharing these things with you. I'm putting it all together in a coaching program for you, and then putting it all together to tell you where you are now in this global environment and where we can go. By the way, Elon Musk, I get it, dude. You're talking about colonizing Mars. I get it. We need to have a space program. We need to find minerals on planetary bodies, asteroids. We need to be able to live on other planets. I think that's right. I think intellectually we're always going to grow. The more we advance technologically with the right mindset and soul set, the better off we are. But we need to terraform Earth before Mars, okay? Look at what's going on here, all right? All that technology can't just be about making profit and suppressing technology that makes our world better. We've got to go to things like people are starting to do, like Nikola Tesla stuff, even Elon Musk, with that whole bullet train concept of tunnels. I was just on the bullet train for a week in Japan. It's amazing. Environmentally friendly, great mode of travel. It could change everything. But it does threaten the petrochemical industry, which is why they never took off here. Who do we got here? Jose Delgado, good morning, peace and love. Okay, I think you get my point. I'm home. Got to get ready, go off into my commercial real estate world. And again, whatever you do in your career, be the best at it. Spend some time, give yourself some time to improve in your career, because the world will benefit from that as well. And you can introduce concepts into your careers where you already are most of your day that improve the company, improve the world. So you're not a sellout by being part of this system. You are a sellout if you don't have the balls to wake up to the matrix and make something better out of this world. Okay? Tribal Earth, do this thing. Let's do this together. Peace, love, take care, have a great day. Bye.